Welcome back, everyone, to DSP versus the Internet, episode 85. Let's continue on with the Ultra member submissions and try to get a few more of this video. I know last one we only got through 2. Here we go.
Were you also required to clear a Bradley at one point? Why would they call you a small arms repairman?
Because technically...
Because technically a Bradley is small arms?
Yeah, technically, as far as the Army is concerned, the M242 chain gun on the front of a Bradley is considered small arms.
Good grief.
I would tell the story about me having to clear the Bradley, but it is a long story and it kind of makes me really angry. So one night, I'm sleeping in my barracks room in Iraq. Someone comes and starts pounding on my door, wakes me up. Specialist, get up, get up. There's someone on the phone for you. All right, fine. So I go answer the phone. And it's somebody from one of the other companies, and they're telling me, we need you to come over to this gate over here and clear a Bradley. All right, where's the gunner? Well, he's gone. Where's the driver? He's gone too. Where's the tank commander? He is also gone.
Where was everybody? Out to lunch?
When they said gone, I assumed they meant that everybody in this Bradley had been killed and they had towed it back to the gate and that they needed me to come clear it before they brought it into the base, because you can't just be driving a armored vehicle around with a 25mm chain gun loaded on it through a base with people in it.
Why not?
You know somebody would be stupid and be like, look, I'm a gunner, haha, and then they would just rip 12 rounds through the side of a building.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So the next day I found out from somebody else that what had happened is some of the people on gate guard had noticed that there was just a Bradley driving up and down one of the main routes by itself with no other vehicles with it.
That's abnormal. They're normally part of a caravan, right?
Yeah, they're normally part of a convoy. Why is this Bradley driving around by itself? So they get in a Humvee, they drive out to there. It keeps trying to drive away. They can't get a hold of him on any radio frequencies. So they basically just park right in front of it and take like 20 minutes to coax this driver out of the vehicle.
I'm still not sure why he was driving around by himself.
What happened was this Bradley was part of a armored vehicle convoy. And this Bradley got hit with an IED. Everybody was a little shooken up, but they were okay. So they moved the Bradley to a different spot in the convoy. It got hit with another IED. So they moved it to another spot in the convoy. And it got hit with another IED. At this point, this Bradley has been hit with 3 IEDs now.
Jesus.
The gunner and the tank commander of this Bradley suddenly decide, you know what? Fuck this, I'm done being in this Bradley. So they get out of the Bradley and leave the driver, who is a 19-year-old kid and has never been outside the wire in Iraq before, in the vehicle by himself.
Wow.
10 minutes later, guess what happens? The Bradley gets hit with another IED. This one is so bad that it knocks out the comms in the vehicle, meaning that the driver can no longer talk to anybody else. The driver hits his head against the inside of the vehicle, gets knocked unconscious, and the rest of the convoy goes, he's gotta be dead, and leaves.
The vehicle is still functional after being hit 4 times?
And they leave him, completely forgetting the first part of the Soldier's Creed. I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Holy shit.
Didn't even grab his dog tags?
No, nothing. The rest of the convoy just went, fuck it, drove off. Driver wakes up. He's suffered a serious concussion, doesn't know where he is, doesn't know why he's in a Bradley by himself, doesn't know where anybody else is, or why he's bleeding from the side of the head.
Jeez.
Wow.
Can't reach anybody on the radio. The Blue Force tracker system is down, so he can't figure out where anybody else is. So he just starts doing the only thing he can think to do, which is drive up and down the main route all by himself, looking for the rest of his convoy. Because he assumes there's no way they would leave me behind. Why would they leave me? This poor 19-year-old kid got left all by himself in the middle of Iraq because his tank commander and his gunner decided they didn't want to be in a vehicle that got blown up anymore. It was incredibly irresponsible of pretty much everybody in that convoy. I can only hope that the lieutenant or officer who was in charge of that convoy got his ass handed to him and got court-martialed and was never in a position of command ever again.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I mean, the whole idea of being a part of a military unit is that you are a unit, that you work together in tandem to succeed. I mean, essentially what they did is they abandoned their post. That's mutiny, right? And listen, I get it. It's scary. You get hit by multiple IDs, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, to me, that's awful. And then leave someone else, so someone else is going to keep doing their duty, but you're going to abandon them and leave them behind. I could see if, like, everyone abandoned it, right? If all of them said, fuck this, and they all left together, and now you face the music together. But to leave the one guy, maybe that's what happened. He said he didn't want to abandon his post, and they were like, nah, fuck it, right? I don't know. That's a horrible story. That's the kind of horrors of war style story that you don't think about or hear about, right? Because It's life or death out there, and people are going to make decisions based on that. And it doesn't matter what fucking agreement they signed before they got out there. Once they start seeing the shit hit the fan, right, and the shrapnel starts falling and the crazy shit's happening, you don't know how someone's going to react. Someone who acts all gung-ho and tough crumble right away. Like, I got a wife and kids at home. I can't fuck with this. And they jump out and they run, right? Messed up. The messed up story. Okay. Forklift driver Klaus English subtitles. I have no idea what we're looking at right now. What the hell is this? They got from German company from what, like the 1970s? Right? I wonder what time period this video is actually from. Does it say in the description? No, not at all. Well, it's 9 minutes long. Let's see if it's anything of interest. Why is the forklift outside? Wait a minute. You don't just leave that shit outside. What if it rains? That thing just rusts up. Why would that be outside? If it's the beginning of his day, that should be indoors, you know, parked in storage or whatever. Basically saying he did nothing wrong, right? He did nothing wrong at all. He's driving properly. That guy almost got himself impaled because he was an idiot. This can't be a real video. This is a comedy video, isn't it? It's a comedy video. It's well done, too. It looked real at first, but there's no way this is real now. Halloween, everyone. This was actually a good one for Halloween. This was... I'm glad that I kept playing it because at first it seemed like it was going to be a serious video. But this is actually a perfect one for Halloween, dude. Wow. All right. Well, I think we've seen it up, but that's funny. That was a good submission for October. Thank you, whoever did that one. That was like 1980s style comedic horror, right? There can't be any more because he's dead. Wait, he continues? Yeah, basically, look, they just keep going through and chopping everybody up. All right. Very good. All right.
This is the biggest innovation in microphones in my lifetime, and you have to watch the entire video before you tell me I'm wrong. I'm talking about...
You're wrong. I don't have to watch the entire video. I know everything about microphones. You're wrong.
Mics
with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
Austin Powers? No? This is the Lewitt Ray, the world's first autofocus microphone. The Ray features what Lewitt calls their aura sensor, so it can always tell how far away you are from the mic. That allows this microphone to continuously adjust its volume based on the distance you are from the mic in real time. It's such a simple idea, but it's executed perfectly, and it helps give you more consistent and better sounding audio. If you're skeptical that it only works good in theory, stick around because I'll have some audio samples, and in my opinion, it works even better than I expected. The aura sensor also enables another feature called mute by distance, which is exactly what it sounds like. So you can set this mic to mute completely as soon as you move far enough away from it. You simply hold the mute button while sitting at the distance you want it set to, and then the indicator will turn red, showing you that it's enabled. Anytime you're within that set distance, the word mute is green and the mic will pick up audio, but as soon as you move outside of that range, it turns red and the mic drops by 70 decibels.
So essentially what this is doing with its hardware, it's doing the effects that I do with my filters now on my microphone. So you can basically have it set to certain decibels based on distance and stuff. But what I'm wondering is, like, for example, I would want you to be able to hear me sitting right here, maybe being right over here, right over here. But if I'm on the other side of the room, then maybe I don't want you to hear me. But I can't press the button on the mic when I'm on the other side of the room, right? So this mic is only going to work when you're in visual distance of the front of the microphone, correct? Like, that's it. It would not work if you're on the side, behind. It would only work visually in front of it. So I don't know how much use I would have for that, honestly. Seems like a nice mic, like something interesting that technology can detect the distance and allow you to set it. But I don't know if I would really get use out of it if I were to get something like that, right? What's up, Cracker Jacks? How are you today? Welcome to the stream. Let's see.
Just need to long press it again to disable it, or you can quick press the mute button to use it as a regular manual mute as well. At any time, you can turn the aura sensors off and use this just like any other traditional mic. Now I'm going to show you how this mic sounds with and without aura, as well as demonstrate the mute by distance feature. But don't leave right after that, because I want to talk about some concerns that I've heard from people who think the aura technology might not be all positive. This is the Lewitt Ray with aura turned off, and you can hear that as I move farther away from the mic and then back towards the mic, that the volume changes drastically. This
Okay.
is the Lewitt Ray with Aura turned on, and you can hear that as I move farther away from the microphone and then back towards the mic, that the volume remains much more consistent.
So for someone who does something in like a studio and you want to move around, like let's say I was doing a review of something, right? And I don't just want to sit here, maybe at a table and I'm showing you the product, and you want to still the microphone to be a set volume, that would definitely work. That makes sense. But it would have to be like you saw. He's in the room, he needs to have that distance, but he wants to get closer again. For someone who's a podcaster or whatever, it would have like no use, right?
Now I've got the mute by distance feature turned on, and you can hear that as soon as I move far enough away,
Yeah, look.
or if you've got this mic on a boom arm like I do, all you have to do is swing the mic a little bit out of the way.
This is not detecting you in
Obviously,
front
when
of
you
it,
move
the
far enough
laser.
away from this mic, you will start to hear some more reverb and room echo, so you can't throw mic technique completely out the window, especially in an untreated space. But even when pushing the Ray to its limits, I was shocked at how well it works. It gives you a ton of freedom to move around and speak more naturally and not be so concerned with a constant proximity to your mic. If you're using it on a podcast, you can not only move around and communicate more naturally and comfortably with body language, but with the mute by distance feature, you can back off the mic and have it mute at any time. Like if you need to say something to your producer or cough or take a drink, really anything that you don't want picked up in the mic. If you're a content creator like me and you need some space to back off and show off a piece of gear or demonstrate something, it allows you to do that without the audio quality or volume dipping temporarily. As a vocalist, it allows you to focus more on your performance and less on perfect mic technique, which just makes the recording process more creative and less technical. If you
I like the idea. I don't know what utility it would really have for me. Like if I were in the market for a new microphone, maybe I would want to get one that has those features just in case the rare moment when I would want to use it. Like for example, if I'm unboxing a new piece of hardware or a console or something, because I'm unboxing it here, now I'm backing away from the mic and maybe it doesn't sound as good as if I were like here, right? Does this sound a little different because I'm back here versus here? Or maybe because I'm turned, right? That could definitely do something different. But for the most part, I don't really know how effective the mic would be for me. I think for other creators, perhaps. But I don't think for me, I'd get much utility out of it. So, but pretty interesting piece of technology. Thanks to whoever submitted that. All right, let's do one more video.
This video is brought to you by my Patreon. No, seriously, I hit a Patreon goal where I had to make a video about Spawn. Thanks to everyone that has supported me and made this video possible. And now, Spawn. So turn off your lights.
I know all about it.
In the late 1980s,
I know all about it because I was there for this, and I was part of the comic book, hype and culture movement and all of that at that time.
artist Todd McFarlane exploded onto the comic book scene with his dark, hyper-detailed superhero art. Alongside several other up-and-coming young artists, McFarlane represented the new age of comic books, and his art not only helped usher in an era of dark, edgy superhero stories, but also rode the massive financial wave of the speculator boom. Eventually, McFarlane's popularity led to him debuting his own new Spider-Man title as writer and artist, with Spider-Man #1 selling a whopping 2.5 million copies in 1990, thanks to a media blitz, variant covers, and collectors hilariously thinking that owning a comic that had millions of copies in print would make them a millionaire. It did, however, make McFarlane a millionaire. And in 1992, McFarlane and 6 other high-profile comic book creators founded Image Comics as a place for their creator-owned books without ever needing to give up their rights and financial stake in the characters they made.
That's right. It's too bad that within like just a few years, all the comics failed except for Spawn. Like it was the only one that was still popular after like a few years.
The publication launched with several high-profile Ultra 90s series: Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, Eric Larson's The Savage Dragon, Jim Lee's Wildcats. But the Image flagship would be Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Spawn is the story of Al Simmons, a mercenary who comes back from hell to be reunited with his wife, only to be turned into a superpowered anti-hero caught in a war between the forces of
What's hilarious is look at him. He just looks like Spider-Man. He totally looks like Venom suit Spider-Man, right? You could tell it's like kind of a ripoff of the design of the character, but then they made him like a hell demon instead.
Of good and evil. But really, the story of the Hellspawn is the story of Todd McFarlane, a superstar artist and writer who used his popularity and the booming comic book industry to help form a new publication and build a multimedia empire while entire publications floundered and ran out of money. Spawn may be most well known for its chains, goo, and 90s extremity, but the impact of the right comic at the right time can't be understated, even if the years haven't been kind to McFarlane's signature creation. As of this video's publication, Spawn has published more than 300 issues and become the longest-running creator-owned comic book in history. Along the way, it's produced an animated series, a movie, many video games, and an entire toy company. And from its massive debut through its constant ups and downs both creatively and financially, Spawn has changed the comic book industry, even though it sucks. Spawn opens with our anti-hero already back from
Alright, we don't need to see the whole story of Spawn. What happens later on in Spawn?
Torsionist approach to Spider-Man and his hyper-detailed violence that brought success to his early books. And it's that same sensibility that attracted an audience to Spawn. The extreme detail, the ragged cape, the flailing chains, the flat shadows contrasted against every line of detail, the exaggerated faces, the complex, unorthodox panel structure. It's that signature semi-cartoonish approach that is recognizably McFarlane and synonymous with Spawn. But that doesn't mean the creator doesn't care about his narrative. It's pretty clear that he does, just that there's a major disconnect between an author's passions and the main reason for his sales. Regarding his stepping away from art duties, McFarlane said, "As a guy who is a self-confessed control freak, giving up even a little bit of authority is very tough for me to do, and because of that weakness I have, I felt it was causing me to become lazy in terms of how I was drawing. Adding somebody new to the mix, such as Greg Capullo, would bring something new. If the sole reason that you are buying this book is because of my artwork, then I have failed in making Spawn, the character, interesting with or without me." Uh-oh, Todd. Thankfully, Capullo's art became as much of a selling point as McFarlane's had. Capullo is a lot darker, gorier, and more gothic than McFarlane's cartoony look. It's an evolution of the Spawn style that was set. Shadows, nighttime, hyper-detail, grime, and gut-ripping action. But Capullo pushes it into darker territory. Overall, Spawn gets meaner, grosser, and bloodier as it goes along, with McFarlane reveling more and more in the viscera. It seems like
I'm just curious, how long did it last? Because I don't think it runs anymore. It's been gone for a while, right? The Spawn Empire, the Legacy. Let's do the Legacy of Spawn.
collapse. The Image Comics shared universe that Spawn was part of is almost completely gone besides McFarlane's comic and Larson's Savage Dragon. And Image has become a major player in the comic book world because of its many highly regarded independent series from a wide variety of creators. The vision that McFarlane shared with his co-founders at the beginning of the 90s lives on, but in a way they probably could have never predicted. The edgy stories of Spawn, Savage Dragon, Youngblood, and the Max helped found the publication, but couldn't be further from modern Image successes like Saga or Monstrous. And when Image went through a partial breakup and diversification in the late 90s that saw many of its co-founders leave, it was Robert Kirkman's smash hit The Walking Dead in the early 2000s that gave new life to the publication. Thanks
I forgot that Walking Dead was Image. Yeah, they made him tons of
to
money.
its crossover success and massive TV adaptation. But that multimedia strategy is very much a perfected, more successful modern version of what McFarlane had done with Spawn. McFarlane's comic continued through all of these changes, but was slowly transformed from company mascot to the weird little pet project of the Image Comics president that wouldn't quit. And the reason for its longevity is McFarlane's investment. Even as sales numbers tanked, the creator remained committed to his vision, with a small but loyal set of readers coming back each month. Even with readership a fraction of what it used to be, Spawn was still profitable because of creator ownership at Image. Likewise, many comic creators today follow McFarlane's pattern of making a name for themselves at Marvel and DC, and then leaving to create their own independent comic. Their rights to most of the sales profits at companies like Image, and the ability to sell the IP to voracious movie and TV studios who gobble up every new comic book during today's comic book movie craze, mean they can be financially stable in a comic book niche dominated by two major publishers, who profit off creator ideas and pay them pennies on the dollar for what they made for them. The steady profits from the comic and toys help McFarlane Productions exit bankruptcy in 2012. Most recently, McFarlane has ridden the wave of a Spawn resurgence around issue 300 and its landmark numbering to boost sales up once again. Today, Spawn is the longest-running independent comic book, having passed Dave Sim's Cerebus with issue 301, and there's no sign of slowing down. McFarlane debuted Spawn's Universe in 2021, which became Image Comics' top-selling #1 issue of the past 2 decades. And off the back of it, Spawn has quickly spun out multiple new ongoing series for an expanding universe of comic books, with King Spawn #1 selling nearly 500,000 copies.
I can't believe people still read Spawn, honestly. I have no interest in it at all. In the character, in the plot, none of it. Like, I don't give a shit about this. I can't believe it lasted this long, but hey, if anything, it just shows that having your own ownership over your product, rather than it being something you're doing for a big corporation, is a monstrous advantage. They knew what they were doing. It just sucks that only McFarlane really benefited from it and everyone else went on. Like Jim Lee is what? Isn't he head of DC? They all went on to do other things. I'm actually being told there's a new Spawn film that's coming out next year, but of course, under attacks, I have no faith that they won't fuck it up. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see, like, Spawn was so popular in the 90s, where he was becoming more popular than, like, the mainstream shit. But today, you never hear anyone really reference it, right? And I owned a bunch of them. I owned a bunch of the Spawn comics. I even had Spawn #1. So, all right. Guys, thanks for watching. DSP versus the Internet. Be back soon with part 3. Thanks, and we'll finish up the Ultra submissions in the next part.